While everyone is shoulder to shoulder in their lemon print dresses in Positano, paying €20 for a drink in Mykonos, or clutching their crossbody bag in Barcelona out of fear of being pickpocketed, there are a cluster of islands in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. 9 to be exact. While tourism exists here, it's about a fraction of the crowd the blown-up influencer hotspots seem to have. There's a lushness equal to Hawaii, secret beaches, hot springs, kind locals with a great sense of humor, and a small amount of transplants who came to contribute to the islands, not take from them. This paradise is referred to as the Azores, Portugal. To be honest, I had heard of the Azores here and there, and in the back of my mind I thought it'd be a nice place to visit, but they never really took priority for me. If it weren't for my close friend Evan and his family having a family vacation there and inviting me, I'm not sure if I honestly ever would have gone. But of course, as it turns out, I would now put the Azores in at least my top 3 favorite destinations I've ever been to. Evan's family hails from Fall River, Massachusetts, which is often referred to as the 10th island of the Azores. These islands are well known in that town as many descendants from the Azores migrated over to the breathtaking state that is Massachusetts. I'm just kidding, I think Massachusetts is pretty. Parts of it anyway. Upon arriving in Sao Miguel, we really just had a chill evening. I didn't even film the restaurant we went to because I was just focused on settling in and chatting with Evan's family. But we did end up going out that night to a bar called Resvesh Street Bar in Ponta Delgada. Let's just say I would come back to visit the Azores simply to go to this bar alone. The next morning, Evan and I woke up pretty late since we did have a nice evening the night before at our new favorite bar. We were roaming the streets of Ponta Delgada to look for somewhere that might have a later breakfast or an early lunch, and what we ended up finding, one of the only places that was open, was a Greek restaurant that ended up being to die for. The food was fresh, the service was amazing. After that, we made our way over to the airport to pick up our rental car. The first destination we wanted to drive to is called the Blue and Green Lakes, and on the way there I was already so impressed by how beautiful the drive was, and I remember Evan saying, "Oh, just wait, it's about to get so much better." I couldn't even fathom how it could possibly be prettier than it already was. But then my mind was absolutely blown when we got to what is called the Dream Roads. Our next spot ended up being this abandoned hotel called Mont Palace. This hotel is perched at the top of a peak where you get the most incredible views of the Atlantic Ocean and the blue and green lakes. There are people set up outside of the hotel with arts and crafts and a hamburger and beer truck set up as well. Evan and I grabbed a couple of beers and we explored the inside of this hotel. This hotel opened in 1989 and closed only 18 months later in 1990. When this hotel opened, it had 88 rooms, it had restaurants, a bar, a nightclub, a bank, and hairdressers even. I guess this place closed because it just didn't receive the volume of guests that it was hoping to, and it just ended up getting abandoned. You can go online and look at old pictures. It had a very modern, early 90s, mid-century look to it, which as you look at the pictures, you can kind of tell it just doesn't fit with the environment. You can walk right into the front entrance of the hotel, and it does seem creepy and dangerous, which it probably is dangerous, but you're not the only ones in there. There were other groups of people exploring the hotel as well. It's actually really fun going in and out of the different rooms and looking at the different graffiti sprayed all over the walls. The elevator shaft was the creepiest part because you just look down into this pit of pitch black. You can also make your way to the rooftop where the views just blow your mind. I don't know how many times I can say breathtaking or blow your mind, but it's true. That's the experience. The following morning, we woke up and drove out to Furnas to go to Park Terra Nostra. This place was incredible. There's hot springs you can go swimming in and gardens you can walk through, but I'll let the visuals do the storytelling for this part of the video. That evening we went to dinner at a restaurant I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of, but I had lapis for the first time and some red snapper. It was delicious. We did end up getting drinks afterwards, which of course led to some late night McDonald's. It's becoming something of a tradition of mine to try McDonald's in every country I visit because, the menu's different and it's tasty. Let me tell you about the next day. This was one of my favorite experiences of the entire trip. We went out to this little hotel, villa, resort situation called Idonia. Now, this is owned by Chef Pete Luckett. I highly recommend Googling him. He's a very interesting character. He's from the UK, moved to Canada, had a TV show for cooking and food in Canada, and he made friends with Chef Ludo, who hails from Bretagne, France. So Pete bought land in Sao Miguel and created this garden and farm, and now him and Chef Ludo, they do these meals that you can experience where once you tour the garden, they prepare, I believe it was 5 courses, maybe 4, and the food, of course, as you would expect it to be, was to die for. It was so fresh, it was exquisite, it was beautifully prepared and presented. We also did the wine tasting, which was amazing as well. And it was fun. Pete has an incredible sense of humor. Chef Ludo was so kind as well and let me afterwards walk into the kitchen and look around some. This is an experience that I would love to have again. I would even like to stay in Idonia. It was just so special overall. After what I would consider was one of the best meals of my life, we made our way over to a hidden gem called the Gin Library. Now, not to put a screeching halt to the magic of this vlog, but I discovered this place through ChatGPT, no less. I asked what were some unexpected things to do in Sao Miguel. The Gin Library is so unique and special, I was impressed by something different every minute that I was there. It's owned by a British man named Ollie, who has been to over 100 countries and tasted gin all over the world. The reason for the name is because they have a gin trade-off program where you bring a craft gin from where you're from and you trade it for one of his gins that he makes in Sao Miguel with botanicals from the Azores, of course. The current number of different gin bottles he has is over 2,000 in the library. If you do purchase a bottle, a percentage of your purchase goes to the Ocean Azores Foundation, which supports ocean conservation. Yeah, it goes without saying that this gin tasted incredible. He does this little workshop where he teaches you how to make the perfect gin and tonic, everything from the proper glass to use, the correct tonic to use, what tastes best, the size of ice you should be using, and what garnish to put on top. Obviously, I bought a bottle, and as soon as I got home to the States, I ended up ordering everything that I would need to make the perfect gin and tonic. This was unexpected, but that night we ended up having the most delightful Japanese meal. The sushi was so fresh, and the inside of the restaurant was anime themed with neon lights everywhere. It was a fun departure from everything we had been doing that week on the island. And then Evan and I made it a priority to visit our favorite bar one last time. The following morning, we were moving slow as it was our last day on the island. Evan and I hadn't been swimming yet the entire trip, and one of the bartenders at the bar the night before recommended us his favorite beach, so of course we had to go. I actually don't think I'm going to share the name of this beach or where it was in this video. I will share it on my Substack though, which is always linked in my description box. It was just so small and so perfect, and it's not something that I think needs too much attention, but the beauty of the Azores is that there's little secret beaches and coves like this all over the islands. The water was so crisp and refreshing and got your heart rate up, and then this little rock that you could swim out to, a ladder was built into it so that you could climb up and jump into the water. It was absolute heaven. One of those places that you just felt like was too good to be true or from a scene you've seen in a movie, and even arriving there, I was already sad that I was going to have to eventually leave it. I owe a big thank you to Evan and his family for inviting me on this trip. There were even moments leading up to it when I thought I was going to have to cancel out of stress for taking too much time off or finances. But everything ended up working out. It's like I was meant to go on this trip. I feel like the Azores opened up something in my mind. I didn't realize somewhere so perfect yet gentle could exist. Gentle seems like the perfect word for this island, specifically Sao Miguel. And that's exactly what I needed, a gentle, rejuvenating trip with my friend. If the fountain of youth exists, it's in Sao Miguel. There's just something so magical about these islands. Evan and I are already talking about how we have to go back. There's so many spots we wanted to see that we didn't end up having time for. And of course, we have to visit the other islands. If you want an escape somewhere where you feel like you're actually being brought back to life instead of moving like cattle through an overpopulated tourist destination, visit the Azores. But remember to be respectful of the land and the people, kind and patient with all of your interactions, and to savor every experience. If you made it to the end of this vlog, please comment the whale emoji. I feel like that's appropriate for the Azores. And that's another thing I have to do when I go back, is I have to go on a whale watching tour.